grab some friends, drop back, and get ready to catch the huddle.
Welcome to the last installment of the Huddle. We're coming to you live from the chilly UCO campus today. I'm your host, Demetrius Wright, and along with me, as always, my partners in crime, Dylan Swartz and Rick Lemon, or is it the other way around? I don't know. But how you doing today?
I'm doing great, D. How you doing?
Excited to be here, D. Good to see you.
Hey, you know what? Let's go on. UCO was at home for their final home game, and yes, I said it, coming down to the end of the great college season. So let's jump into the highlights and see how they did.
It was a cold Saturday, perfect weather for football.
It's a big day here at UCO. Number 3 versus number 2 in MIAA competition. Bronco buddy, it's good to see you today. Thanks for coming out. How you think the team's going to do? You think they're going to do pretty good?
Marquise Cushion takes the jet sweep, goes right through the defense, up the sideline, and scores easily. The Broncos still have some fight. Chad Starler hands the ball to Jake Gandera, who takes the ball right up between the tackles. He goes 60 yards untouched for the score. UCO fans are loving it. They are excited. Even in the cold, they are excited.
A big day for the Broncos. It's the number 3 team in the MIAA faces off versus the number 2 team, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. At halftime, Pitt State leads 27-7 with a conference championship on the line. If the Gorillas win, they guarantee themselves co-championships with Northwestern State. With the UCO win, the Broncos would go into a first-place tie and guarantee themselves a championship. Either way, it's a big day here at U Central.
UCO's defense tried their best to slow down this powerful Pitt State offense by hitting them in the mouth. They even tried to pressure the quarterback and knock down every pass he threw. But in the end, UCO lost.
UCO falls to a very powerful Pitt State team. The Gorilla team was as good as the scouting report said they were. Rick, the Gorillas scored on their first 5 possessions of this ball game, including over 350 yards of offense in the first half. Why do you think the Broncos struggled in stopping the Gorillas so much in this game?
I mean, it's really just that offense has so many weapons. With their quarterback, Anthony Amendola, and with their throwing the ball all over the field, especially to the receiver, Marquise Cushion, who was averaging over 100 yards a game. You just can't stop that offense.
Now, D, I know you played a little bit back in your day, and I know you're an offensive lineman. So what's your opinion on why the offense couldn't really get going? Stoller really couldn't get those guys going on Saturday against the Gorillas.
You know, for me, it's just that it's a lack of execution. The offensive line has to execute because it starts up front. If you can't keep the quarterback upright and open holes for the running backs, then the team has no chance of winning. The battle that takes place every quarter and at every winning game has to start up front with the line. All right, we have to take a break, but coming up, we'll show you all the action from last week's regular season for our local high school games. You're watching The Huddle.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Acceptable? Yes, now there are more items you can place in your Edmund recycling bin, like newspapers, magazines, phone books, and junk mail. Edmund recycles. It's what we do. Changing your view is what we want to do.
Welcome back to the Huddle. We had a big final week of the regular season for our high school teams, including Broken Arrow traveling down the Turner Turnpike for a second week in a row, this time to face the Bulldogs at Watland Stadium.
Bulldogs versus the Broken Arrow Tigers. Everybody's pumped up. Mick Mercy's all pumped up. First series of the game, he takes the ball, throws it over the middle to Jordan Reed, who scores. Little Warren Wan comes up and congratulates his big papa. Everybody's dancing. Everybody's happy. Bulldogs win. It's great. Game's all over. Yay, everybody's cheering. But not so fast. Broken Arrow Tigers take the ball, and next thing they do is just keep handing the ball off every chance they get to their running backs. Ended up with the score being 21-6 at halftime. Little Warren Wan wants to get the game back and all in his hands. He's hitting out big hits. Little Warren Wan is all over the field. Matter of fact, he's causing fumbles. Bam, you see it right there. He's causing fumbles. Mick Marisky, he's in trouble. He's going to try to score. What does he do? He just throws it downfield and finds little magic man Warren Wan, who zips, and is taken down right there at the 30. Can they score? Can the Bulldogs come back? Can the Bulldogs come back? Mick Marisky takes the ball and throws it to the ground. It falls incomplete. Broken Arrow gets the ball back and throws it to Evan Green, who is not on his team. Bulldogs get the ball back. Throw it to Warren Wan. Warren Wan takes the ball and scores, but it's too little too late. Bulldogs go down 14-41.
Another week and another dominating performance for Broken Arrow, and they were a hard-charging running team. And they only caught 5 passes for 45 yards the whole game. Now, Dylan, to me, it looked like when the Bulldogs got behind the team, it seemed as though they forgot about their biggest offensive weapon being Little Warren Wan. Now, he's a slash all-purpose player. What I want to know is, do you think it was part of the game plan for the coaches to start passing, or was it more of a just let's go try to outscore them?
Well, they came out the gate with 4 passing plays, and they scored on their first drive. I mean, they just went right down like it was nothing, but you're right, they relied on that a little too much. Just because it works the first drive does not mean it's going to work the rest of the game. So I thought they should have ran the ball a lot more. It worked for them all season. All the games they've been competitive and have won this season. So I think they should have given Warren Wan a lot more chances in that ball game.
Now, Rick, Memorial might have lost this one, but they barely squeaked by in getting into the playoffs. Now, what I want to know is, when they travel up to Tulsa to face another powerhouse in Union next week, what do they have to do to advance the game?
I mean, really, in my opinion, this game's going to come down to the field position game. It's going to be the game within the game. If Memorial can play up to the caliber that we all know they can play, and their defense shows up how they can, then the real key will be limiting Union's possessions and pinning them deep in their own territory and making them go all the way across the field to get a score.
Okay. Now, speaking of the Union, North Huskies made the short trip to the Turnpike to Tulsa just to face the Redskins this last week. Let's see a graphic of how they performed. This is not impressive by any means. The Huskies of North, they went up the Turnpike as wounded animals with an ounce of fight, but came back home a dead duck. The Huskies' 2-quarterback system did not go over well. North got beat in almost every facet of the game. Now, the Huskies really struggled to move the ball in this game against a dominating defense and performance from Union. Now, as you can see, Edmond North was doubled up in every offensive category of this game. The numbers don't lie. With young players and injuries, this was not a game for the Huskies. Now, Dylan, do you think Edmond North Huskies were overmatched in this state?
Well, I do indeed D, and it had nothing to do with the Huskies on the field. The thing is with them is the last few games they've played, they've just had absolutely no energy, and they're just lackluster. And it just seems like they've been ready for basketball season for the second half of the season. And I know injuries have a lot to do with that, but if you have opportunities as a second and third string player, or even as like a junior or sophomore, you got to take advantage of those opportunities when you do get in the game to go in there and perform well. And I just don't think they've had that all season.
Okay. Now, Rick, the Huskies have seemed depleted all season, like he said. And for their quarterback, since their quarterback went down in the second game with that foot injury, my question to you is this. How can a team overcome a rash of injuries like they had and just downtrodden? How can they endure to bounce back and come back?
Well, I mean, like we've seen all season long, you're right. They've been depleted. Their starting quarterback, Stephen McLaren, going down. They've had injuries all over the field. And honestly, kind of like what you said, Dylan, the underclassmen just have to step up into that role. It's about playing your offensive system and having the coach that can get his underclassmen ready to play whenever they're called on.
Now, 2014 might be over for the Huskies, but in all honesty, I can say North has a couple of good things in their favor. One is their backup QB, Noah Toles. He has done well this season, even though he has split a little time with sophomore Anthony Belton. With this year's adversity, both have gained some athletic experience and leadership. I have to say, second thing is the Edmond North Huskies, as a team, have gained knowledge that will pull you together when your teammates get everybody together and you can get through anything. Now that's a life lesson, and no one can take that away from them. Now, Rick, was North the only team in Edmond that had to face adversity?
I mean, no, they weren't. But one team that had experience and depth all season is Santa Fe. They needed a victory to help their playoff chances. Let's see what their explosive offense could do on Friday night down against the Norman Tigers. High school football action on Friday night with Santa Fe traveling down to Norman to take on the Tigers. Santa Fe coming off a loss last week to Broken Arrow where they got shown up by a pair of running backs that just ran them right over. Coach seems to be sending a message with his game plan this game, however, giving the ball to his running backs 12 times in a row on the opening drive. That's right, you heard me right, 12 times. They ran the ball over, left, right, around, and through Norman's defense, all the way to the goal line and in for the score. Oh, and in case of you forgotten, Santa Fe's also got a pretty good quarterback in Keaton Torrey. Throwing the ball out and screen pass to Darren Williams, and he shows why he's the number one option on Santa Fe's offense, making Norman defenders miss and then turning on the Jets, going all the way in for the score. In the second head of Santa Fe's two-headed running monster, running back Jerome Bryson gets a great hole from his offensive line, makes a Norman defender miss, and then just turns on the Jets, putting the Wolves up 21-0 in the first quarter. Santa Fe would end up losing the ground battle 248 yards to 238, but you wouldn't think that watching this quarter. The Norman players are stunned, coach trying to get them back in the game. In case you need another example of just how good Keaton Torrey is, scrambling around in the pocket, throwing a prayer off the front foot, and he still makes the catch. Caden Mendenhall in for the score. Torrey was so good they end up taking him out of the game, putting the sophomore Drew Rasmussen in, giving the ball off to Darren Williams here, who shows off his wheels, making defenders miss, and then just walking it into the end zone. Norman's band still cheering, but Santa Fe ends up winning this one 49-28. So Santa Fe does end up winning this one, but Norman really did put up more of a fight than one might have expected. Santa Fe ends up scoring only one extra touchdown after halftime, even though that was all they really needed. Dylan, this must be the type of game that a quarterback kind of plays for, though. A game where the first stringer does so well, you get taken out of the game. They put the second stringer in. And in Santa Fe's case, they did so well, they eventually put in the third string for the last couple of possessions.
You're right. That is great as far as a team aspect of it, to be able to get some of those guys a little playing time. But I know Keaton Torrey must have been a little disappointed in this one. I mean, it's his last game of his junior season. They didn't end up making the playoffs, so I know he's got to be disappointed. The fact that he lost snaps and now he has to wait all the way until next fall to get an opportunity to play again. So for the team aspect, yes, it's great because they got the win, but unfortunately, Keaton got his season cut a little bit short.
Mm-hmm. And D, as a former lineman and someone who watches linemen, I'm sure you were proud of the Santa Fe offensive line. They looked like they were opening up holes about a mile wide for their running backs.
Yeah, because the big guys up front, they really sent the tone to every football team game when it comes to anything offense, especially the ground game. Having a solid offensive line to run behind, it opens up so many options for the talented running backs they have. while giving the offensive coordinator a chance to open up the playbook and show a dominant presence on the field. Now it's time for my favorite part of the show. Coming up, we will show you who can hit, who can throw, as well as answer the question, what is it like to play for Coach Bobek for your whole college career? Next on The Huddle.
Plenty of room to swing a rope. Plenty of heart and plenty of hope.
Oklahoma, where the river sweeping down the plain, and the waving wheat
It sure smells sweet.
when the wind comes right behind the rain. Oklahoma every night.
My honey lemon eye.
Sit alone and talk.
And watch ya hop.
We know we belong to the land, and the land we belong to is grand.
We're only saying
Don't do it, fight Oklahoma, Oklahoma. O-K-L-A-H-O-M-A, Oklahoma. Okay.
Oklahoma, come see for yourself.
Welcome back to the Huddle. If you're just tuning in, you've shown up just in time. It's time for the top hits of the week. The last show of the season, we have the top 7 hits of the week coming up right here. Starting with Santa Fe at Norman. Norman trying to run the ball and get stuffed by a stout Santa Fe defense. Memorial didn't have very much luck when Broken Arrow came into town, but their defense swarming and sacks Austin Gilmore. Back to Santa Fe at Norman. Jerome Bryson trying to run around the outside, gets gang tackled, picked up, and put down. And number 4 this week comes from Chaz Glaspie, making a great read from middle linebacker, coming across and squashing the sweep before it even gets started. Number 3, and back to Memorial, Gilmore trying to pass out to Devin Cruz. It gets laid out by a Bulldog. For number 2, Norman with the onside kick, Destiny Ortiz catches it and pays for it. And it's your hit of the week, courtesy of Logan Orso, making a great read from the linebacker spot and blowing up the bubble screen. And there you have it, the top 7 hits of the week. Guys, my final installment of Hit Sticks for the season. D, see anything you like?
I like it when the running backs get out in the open and them linebackers get hit, because that means the linemen, we did our job, and then the second team's getting hit.
And Dylan, there's a couple big sacks this week. I know you didn't like seeing that.
It brought up a lot of bad memories, especially some of those ones in the UCO game. I mean, Logan Orso has played terrific down the stretch in this season. He's been a great addition for that Bronco defense. And going against those guys every day in practice, I know that they can fly around. They can hurt you a little bit. So it's nice to see.
Very true. Now, we're going to throw it over to our special correspondent, Austin Luttrell, for another edition of Literally Speaking. Austin?
Thanks, Rick. The Mid-America Intercollegiate Athletic Association's awards came out this past week, and there were several UCO players represented, showing how far this program has come in such a short amount of time under head coach Nick Bobek. As you can see here, there's a wide variety of players and a multitude of positions represented by UCO. On the third team MIAA team, we had Jake Gandra, who finished with 1,077 yards rushing and 13 touchdowns in 2013. For third team MIAA, despite battling through injuries, there was Marquez Clark, who is still recognized by the MIAA. Honorable mention, you had Chaz Stollard, who was Freshman of the Year in the MIAA, and Christian Hood, the all-time leader in receptions at UCO. You also had defensive back Cody Jones, and there's an argument that he could have been at least second team this year, with 2 pick-sixes on the season. With that many players and an improved season, the numbers say Coach of the Year should have been Nick Bobek, but some of those things just don't happen. All these players contributed to UCO's turnaround this year, and the future for the program is bright. That is my final edition of Literally Speaking. Let's go back to the desk.
Thanks, Austin. That was some good stuff there. And me and the guys up here at the desk would, first of all, like to congratulate all our UCO Broncos on their MIAA accomplishment and achievements this season. They've had a great season, both individually and as a team, so that was good to see. I was fortunate enough to play with some of those guys, so, I mean, they deserve every bit of awards and accomplishments that they've gotten because they put in the work to deserve so. So now, If you guys thought that was some good news, you guys are going to love some of the throws that we've had this week on another installment of Dylan's Dimes.
On Dylan's Dimes, we got broken arrow quarterback Austin Gilmore gets flushed out to the left. Throwing across his body, ball gets tipped by the Memorial defender. UCO's own Chaz Stollard on a couple dimes here. This one drops back, shifting up into the pocket, finding Caleb Moss for the first down. And then 2 plays later off the play action fake. Looks to be under pressure, but he still finds David Busby out to the left side for another key first down for the Broncos. Couple dimes Friday night by Mick Morarsky. First this one, finding his receiver over the middle. Takes it for a big gain. That set up the very next play. Morarsky drops back, zips one over the middle, finding Jordan Reed, who does the rest, taking it in for the score. Memorial struggled passing the ball Friday night, besides on this drive alone. Here we got Keaton Torrey dropping back on this one, flushing to his right, stops his feet, putting it up for only his receiver to grab it, and he comes down with it for the score. And there it is, your Dylan's Dimes of the week.
And there you have it, guys. My final installment of Dylan's Dimes in the season. Anything catch your guys' eye? How about you, Rick?
I mean, I love that Keaton Torrey throw. I mean, throwing off the back foot with pressure, and he's still able to just drop it over the defenders and right in for a touchdown. It was fantastic.
Absolutely. Gave his receiver a chance for only where he can come down with the catch. D, how about you? Which one do you like?
I like Chaz because he throws it short, he's accurate, but when he throws, he's very accurate.
He makes a lot of good reads, and that's one thing you got to give Chaz a lot of credit for as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Now, those quarterbacks were something else, but who has to catch all those balls while running the length of the field? The receivers. Yes, those lanky guys at the end of the field. We caught up with a special receiver, one of my favorite players, and I must say one of the more colorful players on the team. This week, as we sat down with UCO's deep threat and speedster, Marquez Clark.
This is a special edition with Demetrius Wright. I'm interviewing Marquez Clark. MC, how you doing today? Good to see you, brother.
Nice to have you.
Thank you for coming out.
No problem.
What is it like being the only player that has played all 4 of your years with Coach Bobek?
Oh, it's a blessing, man. I say it's a blessing. We've had our ups and downs, but through the whole process, he taught me way more things outside of football, but being a man and life, things in general. You know, I really couldn't ask for a better coach than that.
How's this season different than last year?
Oh, it feel good. You know, going out my senior year on a winning side, you know, the team bonding and the brotherhood that we got on the team, it feels good to know that you're going out on your senior year in the last of your collegiate career, you know, on the upper hand.
Tell me about that brotherhood, that bond that the players have.
Oh, it's amazing. You know, Coach Bobek get us together, like on Friday nights on home games, you know, to have that team bonding. We have a team movie, you know, just joke around, have fun, laugh and play around with each other. And that builds us up to when we go out on Saturdays to trust in the player next to you.
All right. You've been watching Special Edition with Demetrius Wright. Thank you.
Now, that was a great interview, if I do say so myself. It has always been interesting to sit down with these UCO players and see just what kind of people they are outside of the field. I wish I had time to do more of them.
I mean, you're right, and I love seeing what they're doing offside of the field, but we got to talk about Marquez's on-the-field ability. He's been a little bit hampered this season because of a nagging injury, so his numbers weren't quite as impressive, but he's still finishing top 10 all-time UCO in receiving yards, and he really made an impact on this campus.
Well, like you touched on the injury, Rick, but I mean, no matter what the injury or not, MC's one of those guys that you can't help but pay attention when he's on the field. He's just moving at a different speed than everybody else, and he really puts in the time and the effort to not only be a good football player, but to be a great football player. And he really does deserve all the accomplishments and everything that he's earned in his time here at UCO.
When we come back, we will crown our champion of the predictions for the season and break down the first bowl game in UCO history. You're watching The Huddle.
So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice. And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
We couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
win the bowl game. Obvious that was what the Choles have to do for success. But now we are talking about our final predictions and who got the best points and all that kind of stuff. Let's look at the graphic and see whose numbers win. Okay. As you can see, Austin is the winner in that. I don't know how I came in last place, but
you missed that week because you were sick, and it really hurt you.
Man,
That's what it was. Austin's been in the lead all season, though, so the fact that he's the final champion
Honestly,
isn't
though,
surprising.
we all had great seasons because we all finished pretty far over 500.
That's all that matters.
I'm still saying you're looking at the Vegas odds or something. You're cheating somehow, and I'm going to find out how.
Good luck.
I think you just win some. But for winning, this is what you get. You get a baby Bronco for winning.
Congrats.
Congrats.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Now, let's talk about the UCO's upcoming Mineral Water Bowl because they're going to a bowl game, their first bowl game in their history. So, Rick, offensively, what do they need to do to have success?
I mean, offensively, the Broncos are really just going to need to rely on the weapons that they have all season. All season, they've had a balanced attack, using Jake Gandera out of the backfield. Chaz Stallard is a little bit of an X factor when he scrambles, and Marquez Clark and Christian Hood over the top. They need to keep that balance and don't get suckered into playing just one style of football against Sioux Falls.
Okay. Dylan, what do you think, as an offensive player, what do you think the defense has to do to...
Well, the one thing they've done all year, and that's kept them in a lot of these games and able to upset some of these teams, is they've created turnovers. Their turnover margin, they're like one of the, I think, top 3 in the conference as far as the turnover battle. And so, to me, that's what they're going to have to do against Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls forces a lot of turnovers of their own, so UCO's got to not only turn the ball over, but they got to get some of it as well.
Okay, Austin, what do you think is the key to victory for this upcoming bowl game?
Well, I'm pretty much just going to repeat what Dylan said. Both these teams are not only in their conferences, but near the top of Division II in turnover margin. Sioux Falls has forced 23 interceptions this year, leading the country. UCO has been better this season at turnover margin. That's been one of their main reasons for their turnaround, and they're going to have to keep that up if they want to take home a victory.
Okay. Well, it's that time of year where it is the final countdown, as they say. So, Dylan, what are your thoughts on this, real quick? I mean, Dylan. Rick, what is your final? See, I'm getting all choked up. I'm all emotional. Rick, what's your final thoughts on the season?
I mean, it's been a great season. It's been a long one, but I think we saw some great teams do some great things, and I think almost all of our teams have shown great underclassmen that are going to step up next season.
Dylan?
Well, I mean, I've been blessed to be a part of Bronco team the last 2 seasons. They've struggled. They've ended up with 2-8 records. So it was nice to be able to do this show and be able to cover a winning program. And really, this is the standard. We're going to look back on this, and this is going to be the standard year that turned around the UCO football program. And it was really nice to see. And as far as the high school teams go, I think the team that has the biggest upside and the brightest future here in Edmond is Edmond Santa Fe. They have a lot of young, really athletic guys that I think are going to make a big impact next fall.
What do you got, Austin?
Kind of like in my last semester here, it's been good to see UCO take that step towards success. You know, they've had a few rough seasons. It's glad to see them when I'm going out, they're going out on top too. And then I agree, Santa Fe, they got Keaton Torre and they got Darren Williams coming back. They're going to be tough next season.
I agree.
For me, I would say that it would be North as the one that has, because they have all these injuries. But with all them injuries, the young players had to step up. So when they become juniors and seniors, they'll really be able to play. And now we must say goodbye. It is time to say goodbye for Rick, Dylan, Austin, and myself. Thank you for watching The Huddle.